built this building here. In Swedish, its Swedish name is Stor Kyrkan, which means the big church. Easy to remember, yes? Okay, so I'm sure you'll remember that. You will pay to go into this church. It's one of the only churches that you will pay to get into in Stockholm, but it's very, very beautiful inside. The focus corner that you will pay goes towards the upkeep now, before any of this existed here in Sweden, before any of the palaces existed, before any of the churches existed, before people were even, calling this the city of Stockholm, most of Sweden at that time, before the population here in Stockholm was pretty much farmland. Sweden was pretty much farmland way back when. And before kings and queens used to run the country and governments and all that kind of stuff, there were a few gangs of guys that used to run these countries instead in Scandinavia. These guys, I'm sure you know them as the kind, caring, wonderful, compassionate, loving people that they were, not the Vikings. Okay? So, the Vikings. I think it would be rude for us to not talk about the Vikings a little bit since you've come all the way to Scandinavia. Now, the Vikings did come all the way from all over Scandinavia, not just from Sweden. They came from Denmark, Norway, all the countries that eventually ended up being Denmark and Norway. We know that they had a bit of a reputation for being pretty mean, evil pirates. Now, in Sweden particularly, we know that there were three pretty big tribes of Vikings that kind of would fight it out amongst themselves to kind of get ownership of the land. Now, in Swedish, especially in the city here, there is a very, very important word that Swedes take to heart, okay? And it's S-V-E-A, Svea, okay? And that's a pretty important word. That's about, being Swedish, and it's a very, 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 very Swedish word. And if you ask the average Swede, correct me if I'm wrong, Swedes, it's handy to have natives in the group. Svea, people will probably tell you that it means Mother Sweden, right? Svea, Mother Sweden. However, so people go out and they kind of call their businesses, Svea Pizzeria or Svea Hairdressing, after Mother Sweden. But actually, if you do your research a little bit further back, you will actually find out that it was a really big, evil, mean tribe of Vikings. So now do you want to consider changing your name to a hairdressing business? Come to our hairdressing business. We promise we'll only chop your hair off. Svea. The Svea tribe of Vikings, we think that they were the most powerful, most violent, the ones who kind of ran the country at that time. The Viking era lasted between about the middle of the 700s to the end of the 1000s. Now the Svea tribe, we think that they were the most powerful because these were the people that ended up lending their name to the country of Sweden. Sweden, in Swedish, is Sverige, S-V-E-R-I-G-E, Sverige. Many, many centuries ago, when the Vikings were still around, that was actually two separate words. And those words were Svea Rike, which actually means the kingdom of the Sveas, or the realm of the Sveas. And then over time, those two words kind of got smushed together and it became Sverige. So that's why we think that the Svea tribe of Vikings were the most powerful, as they ended up lending their name to the country. But there were also two other pretty mean tribes of Vikings. One of them was called the Goth tribe, G-O-T-A, Goth. And the other was called the Vandal tribe as well. And so that's why in the English language we associate the words Goth and Vandal with people who are mean and evil and damage things and dark and all those kinds of things. The Vikings actually lent quite a lot of words to the English language. And there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds more. And it's about to stop raining, so perfect. And the ambulance can move along. It's probably going to come up here though, isn't it? So, the Vikings, we know that geographically, when the Vikings kind of went out travelling towards the end of the 1000s, the Swedish Vikings went out east. So they went out to places like Russia. Oh, it is actually coming up here, the fire engine. The Swedish Vikings, they went out east to places like Russia and the Baltic countries, all for goodness sake. some Viking in me way back. Don't make me angry. Don't let me when I'm angry. Places like Canada and also Germany and Spain and all those places. So by the end of the 1000s, middle to the end of the 1000s, a lot of the Vikings had gone out travelling, and they ended up discovering places like Greenland, Iceland. The Vikings were responsible for discovering the United States of America 500 years before Christopher Columbus did. But what a great thing for Christopher Columbus, the Vikings decided not to stay, because he could claim that one for his own, couldn't he, and become a legend. We do have quite a lot to actually thank the Vikings for, even though they have their reputation. Now, let's stop talking about Vikings. The sun is about to come out again. Hopefully, the grey clouds are going to move that way. Let's go to somewhere very, very different. I'm going to take you to one of my favourite places in Stockholm. It's just behind this lovely building here. So head that way, and we'll head down the little street. Hopefully, it's not where the fire is.